Hi friends, welcome back to Faith and Arrow Homestead. My name is Jaylee and today we're going to talk about sourdough starter. What is sourdough? Why should you even bother with it in the first place? This video is informative and is going to kind of explain to you some things about sourdough because the next video that's coming out, I believe, is going to be how to start a sourdough starter from scratch. This is my sourdough starter. We are hanging out in front of the fireplace because my house is very cold. And she's just now starting to wake up. This is my little arrow sticker that I created so that I can keep track of how much she has risen. And my house is so cold that she actually went into kind of a sleepy, restful state. And I need her to wake up because I want to do some baking. But yeah, this is mine. Her name is Evie. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what is this and why should you bother with it? So what is a sourdough starter? A sourdough starter is a mixture of water and flour, and it becomes the home for wild yeast. All around you in the air right now is wild yeast. You can't see it. It lives around you. It's on your skin. It's on surfaces of things. And when you mix the flour and the water together, it becomes the perfect home for that wild yeast to kind of settle in and start to multiply and grow. And so that's essentially what you're doing. You're capturing the wild yeast in the air. That wild yeast that has taken up residence in the flour water mixture then starts to produce lactic acid. Lactic acid is what gives sourdough bread that distinct tangy flavor. Fun fact for you, lactic acid is actually what it kills the unwanted bacteria that may be in your sourdough starter, and that's actually what keeps your sourdough starter from going bad. I've had this exact same sourdough starter for nearly a year now, and there's never been any mold or any issues with it, and that's because the lactic acid keeps all that unwanted bacteria out. One of my favorite things about sourdough is that it is high in antioxidants. Antioxidants are important to me. If you've been on this channel for a while, you may have heard me mention free radicals. Free radicals are something that we're dealing with all the time because of all of the pollution in the air, the things that we're eating. We end up with free radicals in our body, and those can cause cancers, inflammation, and a host of other issues. And antioxidants, I don't know the exact science behind it, but I think they somehow protect your cells from the free radicals, and I'm sure there's some beautiful sciencey explanation for that. But antioxidants good, free radicals bad. The antioxidants help protect your cells from the free radicals, and any source of antioxidants that you can get in your diet is going to further help you with that, and sourdough is a source of antioxidants. Now, when you are making a product with sourdough bread, sourdough cinnamon rolls, sourdough cookies, whatever the case may be, the presence of the sourdough actually makes it easier for your body to absorb whatever nutrients may be present in what you're eating. This is again because of the lactic acid. It breaks down the barriers that our body usually has to break down before we can start absorbing whatever nutrients may be present. The sourdough already starts to do that. The lactic acid starts to already break those things down. So it actually increases the absorption rate of nutrients in the food that we're eating. The next one, and the one that I think has the most obvious actual, like you can really feel it happening, it helps to stabilize your blood sugar. Now, when your blood sugar is not stable, that can lead you to having that hangry feeling. And I used to have that all the time, and I hated it. I couldn't go anywhere without a granola bar. If I got hungry, I was shaky, I was panicky. Sometimes I would start sweating. I could not go anywhere without a snack. I was constantly having to graze throughout the day, and that's because my blood sugar was not stable. And since eating sourdough, and then afterwards I added in freshly milled flour, and it even more so helped this, but the sourdough helped it initially before I added the freshly milled flour. It helps to stabilize your blood sugar, and that's because so let's compare a piece of white store-bought bread to a piece of just white sourdough bread, even if you're not freshly milling your flour, just organic white flour from Azure Standard or something. When you are comparing those two things, the one from the store breaks down into sugars and gets used and processed by the body very quickly. But the bacteria present in the sourdough makes it so that your body processes it slower. And so it is more gradually over time adding sugar into your bloodstream, and it's not giving you that immediate quick spike in blood sugar and then immediate drop in blood sugar like the regular white bread does. So sourdough helps to balance that a little bit, and then freshly milled flour takes it even further. And it man, I'll tell you what, if you have like a freshly milled sourdough chocolate chip muffin for breakfast, you can be good for hours and hours and hours before you start to feel hungry again, because your body uses that energy slowly over time. But today we're talking about sourdough, and it does that as well, just on its own, even without the introduction of freshly milled flour. Something else to know about sourdough, it is a prebiotic, which means it helps feed the good bacteria that's living in your stomach. So sourdough is an excellent one to add to your diet if you are having stomach issues, GI issues, if you're having to go to the bathroom a lot, or indigestion, those kinds of things. Introducing sourdough can help rebalance the gut flora that you're dealing with, and it feeds the good bacteria. And then the last little fact for you, I saved this one for last. It's actually the most well-known. Sourdough starts to pre-digest the gluten in bread. And so if you're somebody who has a difficult time eating gluten, you may find that sourdough is easier for you, because, as I said, it pre-digests. So I want you to think about this. When you eat a piece of non-sourdough bread, your body has to fully break that down. And sometimes you can have a reaction or a difficult time because your body is not able to fully break it down as it's passing through your digestive system. And so when you consume sourdough, it's basically like the bacteria in the sourdough has already chewed and pre-digested the gluten for you, so that when you eat it, your body, it's already started to break down, and so your body has an easier time processing it, and it doesn't lead to as much discomfort, inflammation, and those things. One of the reasons that I want to encourage you to pursue sourdough is because it actually really changed my relationship with bread. I feel like before sourdough, bread was something to try to avoid. It was bad. It was something that you felt guilty eating, something I would try to limit and consume less of, and that is the exact opposite now. With sourdough and then with freshly milled flour, I eat bread all the time. I feel so much, my stomach feels better, I have more energy, I don't have those hangry spells anymore, and so sourdough, it makes me feel differently about bread. I don't feel guilty about eating it. I look to add it to my diet. Once you get comfortable with sourdough, I make sourdough bread, I make sourdough cinnamon rolls, all those obvious things that you see the fancy recipes for. I make sourdough hamburger buns, sourdough hot dog buns, sourdough sub rolls, sourdough breadsticks, and sourdough bread bowls. And it's just, any bread product that you consume, you can make it yourself, and you can make it using sourdough. And it's a lot better for you and easier on the body. And you're able to enjoy some of those things, like the Panera bread bowls used to give me such bloating. And now I make bread bowls with soup in the middle myself, and there's no discomfort whatsoever. And I can eat it and actually enjoy it without feeling bad about it while I'm eating it. It was just interesting to me because I didn't realize how much control I had let go of by believing preconceived ideas about what bread had to be. And I used to buy diet bread at the grocery store, bread that was like labeled as like 90 calories a slice, low carb or whatever, and they're full of junk. Oh, they're so gross. And that I was doing myself more of a detriment by believing what I was being told about bread than just by doing some research and taking control into my own hands. And so, there are all of the health benefits of sourdough that we covered in the first half of this video, but the encouragement that I want to give you when it comes to trying to tell somebody why you should bother with sourdough, because you can have bread again, you can enjoy bread again, and it can actually nourish your body. Now, you guys know, if you've been here for any length of time, that I'm also a huge advocate for freshly milled flour. I will leave some videos linked down in the description, and I don't mean to annoy anybody, because some of you may be here just for the freshly milled flour. Some of you may be here just for the sourdough, but I really, 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 really believe that they should go hand in hand. And the concept that I'm explaining to you about not feeling bad about your bread and enjoying your bread and it nourishing your body can be taken an even step further when you combine those two things. You've got the nutrients of the freshly milled flour because it's packed with so many nutrients, and then you've got the higher absorption rate and the digestibility of the sourdough working together to give you a power food. It's so good for you, it's so delicious, and you can just take back your relationship with bread and enjoy it again. So I hope you guys stay tuned for that next video where I teach you how to start a sourdough starter from scratch. I started Evie Girl here from scratch, and we have a wonderful relationship. Look at her, she's waking up. See those bubbles? She's coming back to me. And that way you can actually create your own sourdough starter from scratch. Of course, you can buy them. You can buy dehydrated sourdough starters, and you could get one from a friend or a family member who does sourdough, and that's all fine and good. Please, whatever resources you have. But I really wanted it to be mine. I really wanted my sourdough starter to be something that I could pass down, that I could gift. I wanted to be the gifter. I wanted to be the one giving it to other people. And so I started it from scratch. First try, it was actually really easy, and I explained that process and some things to look for in that video coming up. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. Have faith and keep moving forward. Bye.